All right, hello. I am recording this video for anyone who has had an issue with Sprint or T-Mobile and has had their cell phone number stolen, or as they call it, being unauthorized, having an unauthorized porting of your cell phone number. That as a hacker has been able to take your cell phone number from you and port it to another carrier or another device. Just quickly, this is a former gaming channel, and I'm just making some public servants announcements from issues that I've had personally. I did upload something related to taxes earlier, so apologies to anyone who subscribes to this channel. That has nothing to do with gaming. For those of you who, however, have this issue and have found this video, my sincerest regrets as I went through this myself. I did want to try to help people out and just post this video. And so in this video, I'm just going to go through briefly what happened and then the steps I took in order to rectify it. So the issue I had was somebody, I guess, somehow got my information. They hacked it. They got my PIN number, which they shouldn't have had. And they were able to take my number and port it to another carrier from what was Sprint. Now they've merged with T-Mobile. And it was a very frustrating process. It was actually something I didn't realize happened right away. I had gotten a couple emails from different services that something had gone wrong, that there was some suspicious activity. Fortunately, in those other areas, nothing much came of it. But when it did come to Sprint, I received an email that some of my security information had been changed. When I called Sprint that evening, I actually learned that that number had been canceled and it was no longer functional, which is, of course, concerning to me. I don't want to go into all the details of everything I spoke to with Sprint. I was very frustrated, and it was not a great process. And maybe I'll touch on some of that as we go through this. However, they did eventually inform me that yes, my number had been ported to another carrier. Actually, I believe with Metro PCS, which is under the Sprint family, and you'd think that would make things go quicker, but it didn't necessarily go quicker. And just for your information, I had to go through a number of different people. Nobody spoke to each other. Nobody really communicated, even by the notes they took. So every time you spoke to a different person, it was like a different conversation. And it went on for weeks and weeks without a resolution. Also, not trying to belittle anyone, but a lot of the communication was with foreign call centers, which is fine in general, but sometimes because of the cultural differences, it does make it a little bit more challenging to try to resolve a difficult issue. But I had bad people and good people on I communicated with both domestically and internationally. So I'm not trying to make a broad statement about that, just saying that it can be as frustrating in the process if you are going through this. But let me get to pretty much what happened or what the steps I took. So the first thing I did when I called them, the guy actually was not too helpful. He actually really dug in and tried to make sure that was your number really stolen, which was kind of insulting. He was a nice enough guy. That evening, I didn't get much resolved. What they did do and what they should do is they did create a temporary number for me while they were in the process of porting that back. They didn't really explain it to me. They just gave me, but that is something they should do. But make sure that they don't charge you. They were going to initially charge me a fee for activating a new line. It's not appropriate, obviously, to try to fix the situation for you. And for the most part, it's their fault that that took place. Don't allow them to do that. Make sure push on that. Then they'll send you back to a customer service agent who can help you. Also, if you do get to a customer service agent, which you should, make sure that they would change your PIN for you and make sure you have a current address, your secret questions changed, and anything else. Just let them update your security information so you can try to avoid that in the future. But what I should have pushed for, I didn't know the next time I called a guy who was actually pretty helpful. And what he did was he filled out a fraud report for me. So you need that or else nothing's going to move. They need an official fraud report, so they've got to actually document this. So the first guy I spoke to, I don't know why he didn't do it. The next day, they did handle this for me. So make sure they start the process by filling out a fraud report for you. Now, they're going to tell you that you have about 48 hours, or within 48 hours, somebody will contact you. That was not my experience at all. Nobody really got back to me. I made phone calls until the very end where I really pushed through more. The next step they're going to need, and you should probably just get started on this right away, is they're going to need a police report to be filed. Incident that took place in those a virtual incident. There's some recommendations to talk to the federal government. I don't, unless you really want to just pursue the case, I don't think it's necessary. The reason why you need to report it with your local police department is they need a police report. So this might be more challenging if you live in a really big city or if you live in a really remote community. I live in kind of a medium-sized city, and they, when I did contact them, make sure don't talk to the emergency department as I accidentally did initially, but with the other business department, they were able to transfer me over to their economics crimes unit. So you may want to ask about the economics crimes division. They probably should know what's going on. This is common enough. And you just want to explain to them, not even so much that somebody stole your cell phone number, because they might be confused by that, but that you had an unauthorized porting of your number to another carrier. That's kind of the technical terminology that's used, a technical phrase that's used in these incidents. And at least in my case, it was fairly straightforward. There was a clerical worker, secretary of some sort, who was able to pretty much get my information and then send me back a form. They obviously weren't going to investigate it. There wasn't much they could do on their Sprint. Files a fraud report, starts a fraud case for you on their end. Get the police report. You want to have a PDF file because you're going to need to send that over to them. The next time you communicate with them, like I said, they say wait 48 hours. You can if you want. I'd be more aggressive and just call, update them, see where the case is. You may have to push a little. Like I said, a lot of these people don't know exactly what's going on, or you're talking to somebody new every time. So you might want to guide the conversation along and say, look, I've got the police report. Can you give me an email address to file that? So you will have to send it to an email address. It'll be kind of a long, hard to decipher email address, but that's fine. Send it to the PDF to them. Then I would say I'd wait. They'll probably take 48 hours. I'd wait maybe 24 hours, depending on what you're comfortable with. Follow up and ask for the status of that. Now you're going to be probably calling customer service every time, and like I said, these people are just generalists. They don't really understand exactly the situation, so you're going to have to explain it to them. But where you're going to want to eventually end up, if they won't send it you to them directly, you're going to want to eventually ask them to send you to the porting department. So the porting department is going to be able to facilitate your request. They're the ones who really are dealing with the issue. I actually have the phone number. If they won't send you directly, I asked them. This might change. I don't feel badly sending this over because it's just such a difficult situation. They make it much harder than it needs to be. So the phone number I have or I used was 888-259-2689. That's 888-259-2689. That actually will send you over to them directly, so you can bypass all the customer service items. Depends how busy they are. They'll pick up right away, or if you have to wait, but it should take you to the right person right away. That's probably where you want to deal the rest of your time. I would, if you do get transferred to them from customer service, I'd make sure to ask for the number. Maybe ask for a name, but there's so many people who work there. I don't know how helpful that is, but ask for that number, and that's really where you want to go for all your updates. Now, after this, you want to make sure the police report was filed. That's key. If it's not filed, doesn't matter what they told you beforehand, they're not investigating it. So make sure that you verify that they received your police report. And then really it's just a question of being pretty tenacious about asking them what the status is of this, reminding them, politely of course, but reminding them that it's pretty much, unless you gave out your PIN numbers, they are the ones who allow the compromise to take place, and ask for escalation. And if it goes a week or so, I got up to 3 weeks, but that was because of I just didn't know where to go initially. I'd really try to push on them and say, look, nobody's calling me back. I'm not getting any information. I can't use my original cell phone number. I'm concerned about other accounts being compromised. And eventually they put me in some escalation level. I don't have the number for the escalation phone number. It probably wouldn't be that helpful to go there right away. You probably have to go through like some of the process, but go through that. I tried to get to the escalation center, and eventually somebody did call me back. They let me know that they were working on it, and then the next day somebody called me, and they just kind of facilitated the transfer. So it's just being tenacious. You want to be polite, of course, but that's kind of how the process works, and hopefully that would streamline it for some of you who've gone through this. Just some recommendations: make sure your email address, the password, your password, to your email account has been changed. Something else. Somebody gets control of both your cell phone number and your email, they can really compromise a lot of your accounts because of two-factor identification. That's why they're stealing the cell phone. So make sure that's secure. That if they have access to both, you're going to be in some real trouble. Might monitor your financial institutions and such. It probably goes without saying. With Sprint, I would also say that at the end of it, I was able to push for a $20 extra credit. That wasn't much. They didn't really care about me. I'm a small fish, obviously, so they weren't going to give me too much. They did send me eventually something about credit monitoring, which they claimed they had detected this issue themselves, which of course wasn't the case. I was the one who figured out that this happened and really had to push for it. But nonetheless, so they did give me a little bit, and you might be able to get a little bit out of it as well in terms of relief or support. So my apologies for anyone who is going through it. It's quite frustrating, and Sprint is not helpful if you do go through normal channels of just talking to other individuals. You're going to go to a lot of rabbit trails. I had people there who just lied to me on the phone, say they would stay on the line with me and then transfer me, and that never happened. People who said they were going to take care of everything never got any real feedback from that. People who just had no idea transferred me to irrelevant departments, gave me different phone numbers. People who were just kept me on the line for quite a while. There's much more guidance I can provide to you, but let me just recap the steps you should take. Contact Sprint as soon as possible via the phone. Have them start the fraud process. You contact your local police department, Department of Economic Crime Unit, get a police report about the unauthorized porting of your number. Call back Sprint, make sure that you get the email that they need to send that PDF over to them. Please send that PDF over to them quickly, and then make sure next time you talk to somebody, get transferred over to that porting department. They gave you the number. Hopefully it might be of some help, but they could probably transfer yourself. Only talk to them thereafter. No real reason to talk to anyone else unless you want to just lodge a complaint and maybe try to get a credit or something because of what took place. But afterwards, it's really just being tenacious with them, being firm but polite, and just making sure that you're frustrated with the situation. Hopefully having that second number will allow you to have communication. I thought this was going to be fixed sooner, so I actually never really activated it. Make sure when they give you that second number that actually is activated. I didn't have it activated for a while, so you can communicate and at least let your contacts know that's a way to contact you if you're getting any incoming calls. Also, if you have an iPhone like I had, it would still work with the old number. I think that's just because of how I'm not technical enough in this area, but how the iCloud, for lack of a better phrase, works, where you're communicating via internet texts rather than the direct SMS texts. That will work even if your number, at least from my experience, even if your number is ported to another device. When you transfer, helpful to anyone who is going through this with Sprint and T-Mobile. I think T-Mobile has historically had some issues with this, and apparently when the merger between Sprint and T-Mobile has brought that lovely situation over to Sprint as well. So best of luck to anyone who's going through this. I don't monitor this account much, but if you want to leave a comment, I'll be able to get back to you if you have a question, but hopefully this is helpful. I couldn't find much information. I think if you follow these steps and just are firm and polite with the people you speak with in these various areas, they should be able to resolve it at least faster than they did for me. Anyway, best to everyone. Merry Christmas as it's coming up, and take care.